Hi, I'm Sarah's brother, Aaron. Usually, I'm a speaker and a writer, but for the last month, I've been an archivist and a video editor. So I've just been going through pictures of Sarah, because that's what I know how to do at the moment. Thank you. That last video, for those of you that don't know, those were Sarah's chemo outfits. Every day when she had to go to chemo, she dressed up to lift the spirits of my mother, who would take her, and then she would have to wait outside because it was during the damn pandemic. And she would go in to entertain the doctors who would come to see what Sarah was wearing today. So I have a few thoughts before we watch our final video. And I've tried to edit the final video fairly to include as many people as I could find pictures of, and I realized that I had a lot of pictures of me, because I was going through my things too, and so I just decided to put those into a separate section. So Sarah was a terrific sister, the best a brother could ever have. I called her Snickster, and she called me Baby Blubber. But Sarah wasn't only my sister, she was also my best friend. There are, of course, dozens of people in the world, and dozens in this very room, who can and will and have said exactly that same thing. Sarah was also your best friend. This is because Sarah had more best friends than most people have acquaintances, and that doesn't dilute the strength or the intensity of her friendships. It just describes the nature and exuberance of her heart. Of course, if Sarah were here, if I were Sarah, I would just put on a bratty voice and go, but I was her real best friend. So there. But I don't have her sense of humor or her talent for silly fun, and I really miss it. Sarah was the very best at being a friend. All of my life, people would share a common misconception with me when they learned that I had a sister who was profoundly physically disabled. Oh, they'd coo, you must be so sweet to take such good care of your poor sister. I mean, I've always done my best to be there for Sarah, but I would hardly say she deserves anyone's sympathy or pity. And it really was always the other way around. Sarah was always the one who was there to take care of me and everyone else, including probably all of you in this room. I have to confess that when I learned that Sarah was diagnosed with cancer, it didn't occur to me for 1 second that she wouldn't beat cancer, and she did beat it. And when Sarah discovered her heart valve issue, my first thought wasn't that her life was in danger. My first thought was, damn it, that's just going to be another few months that Sarah's going to have to put off traveling or enjoying her plans for a while she figures out how to get through yet another damn surgery, because she was always getting through surgeries. Even after her first stroke, when I visited her every day for 2 weeks in the hospital, I knew she was improving and she was going to come out of this as she came out of everything else life handed her. I have to say it was incomprehensible to me to think that Sarah would leave us before we were both cracking each other up in our old age. Even when she was starting to go through the first steps of rehab before the final devastating stroke, she remained cheerful and full of laughter. But I was starting to have a hard time. While she was in the hospital, I kept having these dizzy spells. I would be walking or just standing when suddenly the entire room would pitch to one side, or the floor would heave up or down, and I'd experience this sense of rising or sinking. It felt like a cork bobbing on the ocean. At first, I thought maybe it was the air in the hospital, or the building was swaying in the wind, or maybe I was having blood sugar problems. But when it continued happening for several weeks after she left us, when I was outside of a hospital, or I was in the fresh air, or after I'd eaten, or as I've been going through videos and pictures, I realized what it was. Emotional vertigo. My brain has not been allowing me to comprehend this situation, and I still can't quite get used to the idea of a world without Sarah. In fact, the very day we found this perfect venue, and thank you, Jay, for putting everything together so nicely, my first thought as I left was to text Sarah and tell her we found the perfect place. As we continue through our days after this loss, I'm sure we're all going to have moments like this where we think of something we want to say to Psarah, or when we need her strength or humor, or just when we find some ridiculous thing that would make her laugh. There is very clearly a Psarah-shaped hole in my heart, and I don't know how to fill it. I know everyone who knew Psarah has that same hole in your heart, and maybe you also don't know how to fill it. But if there's one thing I learned from Psarah, it is how to acknowledge a hard reality and adapt to it. So if we can't each fill the hole in our heart, we're just going to have to decorate it. And you can see the family has done a very good job of that already with the display in the lobby, which we'll be gathering around as we visit in a bit after the last video. And it feels very much like Psarah is here. And I think we have to promise each other to continue helping each other to decorate this hole. When we think of something she would love, or when we know of a cause she would champion, or when we find a candidate who deserves her support, like Darlene McDonald, who is running for House Representative in the upcoming November elections, which you should definitely register for and vote. And I would be remiss in my duties to Psarah if I didn't tell you that it was very important and that you vote blue. And I also need to say that as a confirmed atheist, Psarah did not believe in some sort of afterlife. And so the consolations of Sarah's in a better place ring hollow, at least to me and her way of thinking. We didn't believe in a better place. All we know for certain is that we have this life, and therefore we have a duty to make this one count. And Psarah did that like no one I know. Psarah made each moment count by finding the fun in it and going for the joke, or by finding the good fight in it and going for the jugular. She pointed out the injustices wherever she saw them. She used her voice and her power to fight for change when she had the means and the matches to do so, and she remembered to rest, find silliness, and share humor or drinks with cherished friends when her matches were low. So how do we comfort ourselves with the loss of such a brilliant, justice-minded, hilarious, fearless, ferocious, talented, writing, performing, protesting, and community-building person? And where do we go to find Psarah now that she's gone? I believe we comfort ourselves by living each moment of our own lives to the fullest. And we find Psarah in every instance in our lives when we need that big, brash, hilarious, adorable, and ferocious voice and way that was her trademark. If Psarah ever touched you or taught you or advocated for you, you will always have her loud voice inside you, reminding you to stand up for the person who needs the help and reminding you to not take silly things too seriously. And if there's ever a time where you need to stand up and confront a bully. If you listen, you can still hear her laughter, although I've heard people say cackle twice today, and I'm going to take that. I think that's appropriate. And you can still hear her encouragement. Since heroes live on in memories, they continue to shape the world even after they're gone. So now it's our job to take the lessons we learned from Psarah and to share them. I'm going to invite you all after this last video to please make sure that you record a memory. And if you can't do it in our back recording room, maybe you can do something on social media, or you can post something and record your thoughts, and make sure that you sign the guest book so we can stay in touch and continue to build and grow this community. We've got one more video for you, and hopefully many of you will see yourselves in there. I was selfish and put a lot of myself at the front. Sarah would approve. Thanks, Snickster.
You make me live now. just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel. We are family. Sing it to me. I got all my sisters with me. Sing it to me. We are family. I can hear you, y'all. Get up, everybody, and sing. We have faith in you and the things you do. Hey, hey, I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, y'all. Get up, everybody, and sing. Hey, hey, we are family. I got my sisters with me. I got all my sisters with me. Everybody, we are family. Everybody, and sing. Get up and sing it to me.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming out, and my sincere apologies if I didn't find a picture of you yet to put in our memorial video. There's a lot of legacy and media that Sarah left behind, and we're going to be updating her website at Psarah, Sarah with a silent P, sarahjohnson.com. So check back periodically for writings from Sarah, videos from Sarah, and again, contribute your own stories. We're very grateful to you all for coming along, and I think we're going to queue up one last song that you can feel free to sing along as we move in and strike some of those chairs and have some time to visit and talk amongst each other. So remember what I say, mana mana? That was terrible. Mana mana. Mana mana. Do 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 ba do do. Mana mana. Mana mana. Mana mana. Mana mana.